All right, good afternoon, everyone. I am going to call this meeting to order. This is a regular meeting of the Hamilton County Board of County Commissioners. It's November 19th, 2020. As always, we will start our meeting with silent prayer and then the Pledge of Allegiance. So please join me in silent prayer. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States
States of America,
to the republic
for which
for
it
which it
stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under God,
God, indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Going to move that we approve of the minutes of the previous meeting.
Second,
Commissioner Dreehouse,
Yes,
Commissioner Summer Dumas,
yes.
Commissioner Parks.
Yes,
thank you. All right, we are going to start this meeting by welcoming our Hamilton County Health Commissioner, Greg Kesterman, to the meeting. Greg is on the line, as you can see, because we're taking some action here in conjunction with public health. And Greg, I'm going to kick it to you to describe the action that public health is taking, and then we will add to that as far as what the county commission is also going to do in conjunction with you. But do want to recognize that we are well into the pandemic. We have lost hundreds of people in Hamilton County, and thousands have tested positive and have been hospitalized. And so we feel compelled, I think, jointly to do something, especially knowing that the holidays are quickly coming. So with that, Greg, I'm going to turn it over to you and refer my colleagues to the health advisory that was sent out to our offices.
Thank you, Commissioner, and thank you, commissioners, for having me today. Hamilton County has seen so many cases, just an astounding number of COVID-19 cases at this point. In the last week alone, Hamilton County had over 4,000 cases of COVID-19 reported. We had a one-day total of 500 on Saturday, which clearly is putting a strain on our public health system. And those who are getting sick, it's clearly causing issues. This number of cases is a six-fold increase from the beginning of October. Cases continue to come from all age groups. However, in recent weeks, we're seeing a greater number of older individuals who are more susceptible to severe illness come down with COVID-19. This is cause for serious concern. Positivity rates have continued to increase and are greater than 10% for the county, and they're even greater in the suburbs. Hospital admissions have shown a seven-fold increase from early October. Nearly 600 people are currently in our hospital systems in the region. Intensive care unit admissions have seen a five-fold increase from early October. More than 125 patients are currently in our regional intensive care units. We are just at great risk of overwhelming our healthcare systems. This is not something new. You've been hearing about this over the last couple of weeks from medical professionals, from myself, other health commissioners in the area, and our governor as well. Needless to say, we have a serious problem on our hands. Today, I am issuing through Hamilton County Public Health an advisory for our county related to the number of cases. A copy of this advisory can be found on our homepage, and it covers the tools and protocols that we currently have available to us. What I'm asking is that people stay at home as much as possible. You're not required to stay at home, but you should really think twice before making that trip. In addition, we have a bunch of orders in place from the governor and director of health. We are asking you follow all of those orders, including quarantine and isolation measures, and most likely, or most importantly, I should say, the mask requirement. When you are in public places, we are asking you to please wear your mask. It is one of the most important tools that we have right now in fighting this pandemic. We're also asking, similar to what the governor asked through his mass gathering updated order, to limit gatherings. Don't invite guests to your home. And if you're invited to someone else's home, at this time, we would encourage you to decline that visit. Follow all requirements at this time regarding keeping sick at home and just making sure that you're doing your part. Today's advisory is exactly that. It's an advisory. We're strongly recommending and reminding people that COVID-19 is with us, and it's here until we can get to that vaccine. We know the vaccine is on the horizon. We've been hearing great news about how good the vaccine is going to be for our community. But until it's available, these are the tools that we have to work with. There are no changes in enforcement with this advisory. We're going to continue with the tools that we currently have given to us by the state of Ohio. And as we've been saying for months, we need to continue to pull together as a team to slow this virus down. I'm looking forward to this being another tool and helping everyone come together and make a difference here in Hamilton County. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thanks, Greg. And Greg, I want to say on behalf of not only my colleagues, but on behalf of the citizens of the county, thank you for your leadership. When it has come to this, you've been very measured, you've been very smart. You have done everything that you need to do to try to keep this community safe. And I really appreciate the leadership that you have shown. And now this action today, it won't be without criticism, I am sure. And yet it's the right thing to do and you're doing it. And so I just applaud you and your approach ongoing to the pandemic that we find ourselves in. So I will comment first, ladies, and then I will turn it over to both of you for comments as well. So obviously here we I should say, have a resolution in front of us to support the public health advisory that was just outlined by Commissioner Kesterman. From my view, it expands upon what we've been asking folks to do, which is, socially distance, wash your hands, wear the mask. We have added, to my view, a fourth component, and it's limit your exposure to other people. You don't know who's got COVID-19. People are walking around with asymptomatic, and so it's very challenging to know who's infected, who's not. So we need to limit our exposure so that we can keep ourselves and those that are in our bubbles safe. And it's not only public health, by the way, asking us to do this, it's also the hospital system because they are overwhelmed, whether it's bed capacity or staff capacity. It's getting very, very critical for the hospitals, and they are concerned about being able to serve people, whether it's for COVID-19 related health conditions or a heart attack or a stroke or something else. And so we're at a very critical stage. And I continue to believe that as we try to rein this in and flatten the curve, which we've done before, that is the only environment in which businesses and schools can stay open, if then. And so this commission does not have the authority to do anything beyond what we're doing here today. But I do think it's a very important step to listen to the public health professionals, listen to the hospitals, listen to business leaders in this community, and advise people to take this extra measure and limit their exposure to COVID-19. So two other things. One is, and we've said this before in the briefings, people need to, as they think through that, then, how do you go about limiting exposure, especially related to the holidays, especially Thanksgiving, since it's next week. You need to make a plan so that you don't find yourself, in your family members saying, "Oh, what are we going to do this year?" And you just haven't really thought it through. I personally have had a family meeting with all of my siblings, which is saying something to get us all on the same call at the same time. But we're doing a Zoom meeting with my mom this year. She actually was the one that was really promoting that. And I think we're going to play euchre online. So should be, it's competitive. It's a very competitive group. So I don't know how that's going to go. But anyway, we're going to give it a try. And as Greg said, there's a light at the end of the tunnel here. We got a vaccine coming. And we had Nick Crosley on yesterday to talk all about how we're going to be ready for that. We've got the refrigeration units, the freezer units coming. We collectively have purchased a warehouse to accommodate that. We're in partnership with the hospitals and the coroner's office to make sure we've got capacity. Look, it's coming. But we've got this dangerous time right now where we've got to try to keep this community safe until that time comes. And so there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but the tunnel's pretty dark right now. And so we need to do our best work here to try to give good advice, through public health to this community. And so lastly, I have been asked, because other counties have done this, a bunch of counties, I think, did it yesterday. And so just to put it in context, many of the urban metro counties in Ohio have done something very similar to what we're doing here today, those being Franklin, Cuyahoga, Montgomery, Lucas, Summit. And so we are in good company here in trying to advise our citizens as to what public health is telling us is the right thing to do. So with that, before we get to the, excuse me, the resolution, I would like to turn it over to my colleagues. So Commissioner Sumro Dumas.
Thank you, Madam President. You've really said it all. I also want to let Greg know that I appreciate his leadership and what he's done through this pandemic. So not very much more to say. We realize as a commission that this advisory will impact lots of people and lots of businesses, but it's simply the right thing to do. And as far as a commission, this is the fullest extent that we can do. As Madam President said, the governor would have to mandate something if he saw fit. But I'm just glad that we are supportive of this advisory and that we have taken it another step in trying to slow the spread. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Commissioner Parks?
Thank you, Madam President. I will begin by showing appreciation to Commissioner Kesterman. I am just amazed because when he started with us, it was right on the hot seat, like right now. And just the grace and the wisdom that Greg has displayed as he leads us through this. And I've said it to you before, Greg, but I just really appreciate it. And I admire your dedication.
Thank you.
And the manner in which you go about keeping us safe. The other thing, I'm excited about the vaccine, and just with the leadership from Commissioner Denise, Nick Crosley over there, we have the refrigeration. Because of our new crime lab, we will also have more facilities to store it in. We have options because we have the super freezers, for the ones that's almost 100 degrees below zero. And then the other one just needs to be in, am I correct that it can just be in the refrigerator? Is that correct, Greg?
Yeah, that's correct. There's 3 vaccines that are getting close, and one needs super frozen, and one needs frozen, and one needs refrigerated. So we have all those tools at our capacity.
And that's just awesome. And the best thing that we can be is prepared, and we are. And so thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. Thank you both. And this commission, let's not forget, has used CARES Act dollars to make sure that we are ready. And so it's only through the CARES Act dollars that EMA has been able to purchase a warehouse, to get the equipment that we need, and continue to purchase PPE. I mean, it's really been a Herculean effort. Our team at the county, led by Holly Chrisman, has done a fantastic job. So kudos as always to them. I know we say it a lot, but it always bears repeating. I see Nick Crosley is on the line as well. So thank you. Greg, do you have anything further before we take up the resolution?
I do not. I do just want to say I greatly appreciate this county commission. You have all been very supportive of public health throughout this pandemic, and I'm lucky to be in a community where our county commissioners truly do believe in what is needed for public health to be successful. So thank you, commissioners.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
And I did hear from the president of the board for Hamilton County Public Health, and he too obviously is in lockstep here and expressed his desire to be as collaborative as possible with the board as well. So I appreciate him reaching out. So with that, I am going to move that we approve of the resolution supporting a public health advisory for Hamilton County residents due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Parks?
Yes.
One more thing, Greg, before we let you go. I think we're going to get asked about the timing of this. Could you tell us how long this will be in effect?
So this begins today, and I believe that the correct time frame for this to last is while we as a county are in red. And so we just have a lot of work to do to get us back under control. And hopefully we as a community can come together and do that.
Okay, great. Thank you. And thank you for being on. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Jackie, are there any folks on that would like to make public comment to something that's not on the agenda?
I am not aware of them. I'm looking at the participants, and Bridget told me how to check this. It looks like we have internal folks.
Okay. And
So
if there-
the only public comments that we have, excuse me, received, pardon me, is we did receive several communications, and they are labeled by Leave 6, and they're about the 5G, and they have raised concerns about that.
Okay,
So we'll just receive those for the record, okay?
very good. Thank
Thank
you. Okay. If there is anyone that is on the line and would like to comment, please raise your hand at any time and we will recognize that. All right, then let's move on to commissioner comments. Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Thank you, Madam President. I would just like to add, as it relates to the advisory, just a caveat that I want our citizens of Hamilton County to know that I truly, sincerely thank you, the ones that are doing the right thing by wearing your mask, and to let you know it does not go unnoticed. I know oftentimes we talk about the ones that are not wearing the mask, but I just want to take the time to thank those that are wearing it. And I know it's uncomfortable, we don't like it, but you're doing it. And so I certainly appreciate you for following through on that. In addition, I'd like to acknowledge Bishop Hilton for completing a 12-week course through the NACO, which is a high performance leadership course. It was 12 weeks, as I said, and he did complete that course and is now a certified high performance leader. So I want to thank him for doing that course, and I'm sure it will help not only our team, but also the county. And lastly, I want to talk about Lincoln Heights and the gun range. And it just seems strange to me that we're not talking about closing the gun range. We're still not talking about how that's going to take place. The Lincoln Heights gun range must go. Leaving it open, I say no. We need a vote from the city council. That's all we need, is a vote from Cincinnati City Council to say yes. All they have to do is say yes and the gates are closed. We've also, as a commission, giving them several options on where they can go for a gun range. So I just want to say again, and I will continue to say, that the Lincoln Heights gun range needs to go. And that will end my comments.
Thank you. Commissioner Parks?
Thank you, Madam President. My comments are just around the fact that we as citizens of Hamilton County, we have control of this, of the way that this disease will spread. So we have a couple choices. We can either not follow the guidelines and spread it, just infect everybody. That's why we are at this point now, where we can do the right thing, wash our hands, mask up, stay safe. It's going to take an extra amount of discipline during these holidays. It's going to be really hard for my family. By the way, I had a great grandbaby born yesterday that I can't go see.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you, little
Congratulations.
girl. Her name is Noelle, and she's gorgeous. But I can't go see her.
No.
So these, and I won't be able to. So these are the kind of sacrifices that we have to make.
Mhm.
My family, just like yours, Denise, is huge. We normally get together and we're going to play spades online, and it's going to be bloody. And we'll also have like who makes the best dressing, stuff like that. So we're easily entertained, but we're going to do it. So I suggest that you do that. But everybody does, because we need you here. We want to survive this. And the sooner we start adhering to the guidelines, the sooner we can get out of this. I'd like to celebrate Easter next year, for goodness sake.
Mhm.
That concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and just to echo both of your comments, what we can do is advise the community as to what we think are best practices in conjunction with public health, and that's exactly what we're doing. And so, it's just, as I said, another layer to what we've already been advising through public health for people to do to stay safe and limiting exposure. It seems like an obvious one, but you really do have to think it through. When you get up in the morning, you really do have to think through, how am I going to limit my exposure today? Where am I going to be? Who am I going to interact with? And limit what we do to tamp down the spread. So yeah, I'm proud of what we're doing. And as I said, I think we're in good company here, particularly because public health is with us.
Madam President,
Yes.
I would just like to mention that Zoom is having free services on Thanksgiving Day. So so just let the public and let everybody else know.
Very good. The other thing to remind is that the Test and Protect program continues, and you just have to jump onto the Health Collabs website, go to Test and Protect, and if you are symptomatic, if you've been exposed to someone, it's free, it's easy, it's relatively quick. You just go through, get your test, and within about 30 hours, you have the results, and they just email them to you. It could not be more easy. And so we do want to encourage people to do that. We've got a lot of capacity left there, and I hope people do start to take advantage of the Test and Protect program. If you need more information, go to our website or call one of our offices and we'll tell you how to get in touch with them. So the only other two things I have, I want to remind everybody that we are going into a holiday season, and our calendar will be adjusted a little bit. For instance, we will not be meeting on Thursday, Thanksgiving Day. Obviously, that's one of our regularly scheduled meetings. So I have recently talked to Jackie Paniotto about the calendar for the rest of the year. So hopefully we'll get that out relatively soon to everyone so that you can make plans and know, when we're going to meet, when we're not. I welcome any of your comments related to the calendar too, as it comes out. It will also include the public hearings related to the budget that are coming up as well. And on that note, we only had authority to do virtual meetings through December 1st. And so along with you guys, I've been lobbying our delegation at the state level to extend the authority so that we continue to meet virtually, whether it's a commission meeting or a public hearing for the budget. And so my understanding is that House Bill 404 is rolling through. In fact, I think it's on the floor today. I heard from a number of legislators on either side of the aisle in both the Senate and the House that said that they were supporting that legislation and they expected it to pass. So I expect that we will have the authority to continue to meet virtually. I think it's until July 1st of 2021. So just to let you know, that's a quick update on, because, as you all know, I don't know if the general public knows, we have been meeting virtually since this started. And have tried again to limit our exposure in the county building for not only ourselves, but for people that want to come and do business with the county. So while we're still open for business, the best way to do business with the county right now is virtually. And we will continue to encourage people to engage in that way. Mm-hmm. So that's all I have. Administrator Aludo, you've got a number of by-leaves here today.
We do have quite a few.
Many revised agendas, so I don't know how many we have at this point, but on my agenda, there are.
We have 12.
Yeah, 12.
We have 12, and just real quick before I hit on that, I do also want to say, as it relates to COVID, commissioners, I know you're aware of this, but we do continue to see an increase of numbers of cases within the county organization as well. So we've got a lot of people doing a lot of important work and providing a lot of public services. We are encouraging wherever we can. We just did an employee town hall yesterday. We are encouraging employees wherever they can to work with their department heads to be able to work remotely. Unfortunately, not everyone is capable of doing that with the jobs that they perform. Some people, in order to provide the services that are needed for the public just have to be on site. But we've dramatically limited the numbers of people that are here in our buildings. We know that other elected offices have done the same thing by, we know the courts have suspended jury trials, that type of thing. But where we do see these cases continuing to increase, we are following a very strict and regimented protocol to make sure that we are isolating those cases, doing the contact tracing that needs to be done, making sure that the buildings and offices are cleaned. And we're also using, as you mentioned, Madam President, where we have, where it appears we have a significant number of cases, we're also using the resources through the Health Collaborative and the Test and Protect program and their strike team capabilities that they have that are not just available to the county, but available to any employer. And you can just go right where you said to our website to access the Test and Protect program. And if you're an employer or an organization and you need to get a large number of tests done because of concerns with people returning to work or because of cases that you're seeing in your organization, you can arrange for the Health Collaborative to come out to provide that testing. And they do it very quickly. They do it very efficiently and professionally, and they're returning results within now in under 48 hours many times. So it's very rapid, and it can really help keep operations functioning efficiently. So I just wanted to update the board on that. We do continue to send the message to employees to remote work if they can, and certainly by all means, you wake up, you think it's a headache because of allergies, you stay home. If you think you're sick, you stay home. So we'll keep you posted on organizational impacts. And I did also want to mention that a lot of the way that we are responding to COVID within the organization relates back to our receipt of CARES Act dollars. We've got several buy leaves related to the CARES Act today on the buy leave agenda, but we also continue to press and stay in touch with our federal delegation on what we have said is the simplest thing the federal government can do right now to help us. We know that there's been a lot of back and forth in Congress about the provision of another stimulus bill, and in particular, one of the items that continues to get caught up in that discussion is additional aid to state and local governments. We certainly know that more aid is needed for state and local governments because of what we're seeing in the community, but the simplest thing that can be done is for the federal government to simply extend the timeline by which we have to spend those dollars. So we continue to work on that, and I know the board is apprised of that regularly, but we'll keep you posted on anything that we hear. Mm-hmm. And with that, I'm going to go into the buy leaves that we have, and there's several folks on the line that can help us with some of these as well. But the first one is a resolution approving and authorizing a second substantial amendment and filing of the 2020 through 2024 consolidated plan and the 2020 action plan. This is really accepting and allocating some additional CDBG dollars we've received through the CARES Act. Joy Pearson is on and can tell us a little bit more about how we are allocating and the approvals that the board will be giving today. And Joy, you are muted.
Thank you. Hello, commissioners. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. As you know, we received additional funding from HUD for emergency solutions grants. We had 2 rounds of that, and we have 2 rounds of community development block grant. For the first round of community development block grant, we allocated $700,000 toward nonprofit services, and we got that funding out very early. I want to say it was May or June, and added it to our 2020 allocation for a total of $1.2 million. We are suggesting that we budget between $400,000 and $600,000 of this grant. The total grant is $2.4 million. And we can use, we have flexibility with HUD to go up or down by 10% of our grant. So we can go up as far as 240,000 above the 600. So we could go as high as 840,000 if we chose, and we could go down as well by 200,000 or 230,000 if within that range. So that's the way we are able to budget for the CARES funding. It's something that HUD is allowing us to do because of this time and wanting us to be able to move things quickly. Usually we have to be much more specific about what we are budgeting, but that's why you see the ranges. So as as with the first round, we are recommending most of the balance of the funding be provided to communities for projects. And I will say for the first round of projects, we have $1.5 million allocated to community projects in 20 communities. We have more people asking for money to use this funding, and 50% of them are doing outdoor dining, and 50% are doing parks or playgrounds or bike paths or walking paths. So the projects have to qualify for COVID, and then they also have to qualify for block grant. So, or the other way around, they have to be block grant qualified, and then they have to be COVID related. So as you can see, we've estimated 700 to 900,000 for economic development, and that would be the business assistance for outdoor seating or additional job creation. We did 700 to 900,000 for public facilities. That would be parks, playgrounds, walking paths, et cetera, even senior centers if need be. And then we have a budget in the range of 0 to 200,000 for housing programs. We are not sure yet how we can use COVID funding for housing, but we want to keep an earmark there. So we can go from 0 to 430. So that's why we put that in there. And then for public infrastructure, we have 200 to 400,000. And then planning and administration is budgeted at 400 to 500,000. We don't expect to use that, but our staff does do all of the compliance. We do all of the historic review and pay for historic review, environmental review, et cetera. So we also can go down to take the 400 to 500,000 down by 240,000 or up by 240,000. So this is where we have the flexibility in the categories of the spending. With that, I will tell you, we posted our notice for I think it was 7 days, and we only received one comment, and it was 100% in support of the program and thanking us for funding from the city of Sharonville. So other folks have been emailing and being grateful, but nobody sent formal comments except for one community.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Joy, for the overview of this. Commissioners, are there any questions or comments?
Thank you, Joy. It's just an awesome opportunity for our neighbors. So thank you.
Okay. All right. I am going to move that we approve of the resolution approving and authorizing the second substantial amendment to and filing of the 2020 through 2024 Consolidated Plan 2020 Annual Action Plan.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse,
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas,
Yes.
Commissioner Parks.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Joy.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners. Thank you, Joy. By leave item number 2, commissioners, just moving on, is a budget adjustment number 3, which is a $16.7 million transfer of funds from for the Cincinnati Museum Center Union Terminal Sales Tax Project. This relates to the 5-year project to renovate Union Terminal using the quarter-cent sales tax. Included in the contract with the Cincinnati Museum Center was language that not later than 1 year after the completion of the project, any excess sales tax proceeds held in reserve fund by the county shall be paid to the Museum Center to establish the Union Terminal Restoration Fund for future Union Terminal preservation, repairs, maintenance, and improvements consistent with the tax levy and permissible under the Ohio Revised Code or for other purposes agreed to by the county. So this was part of the overall construct of the Union Terminal Museum Center renovation, whereby the operating levy that supported maintenance and renovation of that facility was going to be terminated in perpetuity. A sales tax levied for the restoration of the facility and any remaining proceeds placed into a fund at Union Terminal for the future preservation, again with the understanding that the operating levy, property tax levy, would not be reinstituted. So this is the action by which we would transfer the remaining dollars in that account over to Union Terminal to establish the Union Terminal Restoration Fund. The administration recommends approval.
Okay, very good. Any questions or comments related to this item?
No questions.
No questions.
All right, I'm going to move that we approve of the resolution number 30, budget adjustment.
Second.
Number 43. Hold on, I'm struggling through this one. So resolution number 30, budget adjustment number 43, $16,724,360.29 for Cincinnati Museum Center Union Terminal Sales Tax Project.
Second,
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes,
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
yes.
Commissioner Parks?
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. By leave number 3 is a budget adjustment number 31, 18.4 million in transfers of sales tax and parking fund balances. This is largely an administrative change to our Riverfront sales tax fund to move the funds from an agency fund to an enterprise fund. It also consolidates our park house garage fund balance into our enterprise parking fund. John Brugan, our budget director, is on the line. John, any additional detail you want to provide on this particular item for the board before we recommend approval?
This is the primary move here from the enterprise fund, or from the rather agency fund to the enterprise fund, is a request of our accountants and auditors who have reviewed it and decided that it's more appropriate in this other type of fund.
Okay, any questions?
No questions.
No questions. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to move that we approve a budget adjustment number 31, 18.4 million in transfers of sales tax and parking fund balances.
Second,
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes,
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
yes.
Commissioner Parks?
Yes.
thanks, John.
Thank you, Commissioners. And since we have John here with us, we also have budget adjustment number 42. This is 2.23 million for general and restricted fund revisions, including some 911 and engineer subsidies and planning for the 27th payroll. John, you want to go through a little bit more specificity on the transfers facilitated by this adjustment?
Sure, there's quite a lot here, actually. We have some additional funding needed for establishment of Office 365 for email, as well as extending our current service through that transition. We are restoring the subsidies for the 911 communications center and the subsidy for engineers tax mapping that were both cut earlier this year. We are adding in our annual contribution for our 27th payroll, which occurs in, I think, about 11 or 12 years from now, but we put aside a piece every year until we get to that year. We have additional conduit debt oversight expenses with the hospital commission. There's a little bit of extra personnel expenses needed in the sheriff's concealed carry fund. We had pulled back on budget a little bit there because the revenues have been tracking lower over several years, but they bumped up this year, and we're able to put some of that back and need to in order to pay for the remainder of personnel for the year. There are costs associated with new equipment in the coroner's lab, and there is a small transfer related to the closeout of the Union Terminal Fund.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions?
No questions.
No questions. Thank you.
You're busy, John. Not only with the budget, but also all this stuff. All right, so I'm going to move that we approve of the budget adjustment number 42, 2.23 million for general and restricted fund revisions, including 911 and engineer subsidies and 27th payroll planning.
Second,
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes,
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
yes.
Commissioner Parks?
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. By leave 5 is a resolution authorizing, I think we've spoken about this at prior staff meetings, but this is a resolution authorizing the execution of an agreement between the Center for Closing the Health Gap and the Board of Commissioners for education and outreach to vulnerable populations. This fits in with our communication strategy related to COVID-19 and working with Center for Closing the Health Gap to really do some focused communication into some of these vulnerable communities to make sure that we are actively and proactively communicating with them regarding testing and even in a preparatory manner for the ultimate delivery of the vaccine, and making sure that we are communicating with those vulnerable communities who we want to make sure understand the vaccine, the safety of the vaccine, that type of thing. So I know Robert Bell has been working on this and has recently had the contract approved by the prosecutor's office. It's now ready for your approval. The administration recommends approval.
Thank you. I recently heard a conversation about how we, not just the commission, but others need to more effectively message into vulnerable communities. And so this is our response to that. And so I am excited to see this one moving forward, especially right now when we need it the most. So commissioners, any questions related to this one?
I have no questions.
I have no questions, but I am excited to see how this goes, and I'm happy that that we are able to do it.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to move that we approve of the resolution authorizing the execution of an agreement between the Center for Closing the Health Gap and the Hamilton County Board of Commissioners for Education and Outreach to Vulnerable Populations.
Second,
Commissioner Dreehouse,
Yes,
Commissioner Summer Dumas,
yes.
Commissioner Parks.
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you, commissioners. By leave 6 is a little bit of a break in what is a huge stream of CARES Act by leaves. But this Clerk Paniotto referenced this a little bit earlier. This is an email. These are email communications expressing concerns with 5G and smart meter technology. I believe the only action here is to receive them for the record.
Okay, thank you. And I will ask one more time, if there's anybody that would like to speak to this item that's with us, raise your hand if you'd like to speak. I'm assuming not, but we'll give it a second. Okay, yes, and thank you to those folks that emailed in their communications. We will accept them for the record. Or do we need an official action to accept these for the record?
You could do that if you'd like.
All right, I'm going to move that
We
we accept
typically
them
do
for-
that.
Let's do it. I'm going to move that we accept for the record the email communications expressing concern with 5G and smart meter technology.
Second,
Commissioner Dreehouse,
Yes,
Commissioner Summer Dumas,
yes.
Commissioner Parks.
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you, commissioners. The next item, by leave number 7, is a resolution authorizing the execution of a memorandum of understanding between Hamilton County Developmental Disability Services and the Board of Hamilton County Commissioners for Vulnerable Population Services to mitigate exposure for COVID-19. This is something that was in our initial CARES Act plan. I don't know if Holly is on the line. She wants to, I think she is. She's popping on now. Holly, any additional detail you want to go into on this particular MOU?
Good afternoon. Sure. In our CARES Act plan that was initially passed back in June, we did allocate $500,000 to DDS for increased costs for their schools and their needs due to COVID-19. And with this action today, that allows them to submit those reimbursement requests to our team for review and ultimate payment.
Thank you. Yeah, again, trying to hit a specific target for a vulnerable population here. So again, applaud the work of the administration on this one. Ladies, any comments or questions?
No comments.
No comments. Thank you.
Very good. I'm going to move that we approve of the resolution authorizing the execution of a memorandum of understanding between Hamilton County Developmental Disability Services and the Board of Hamilton County Commissioners for Vulnerable Population Services to mitigate exposure to COVID-19.
Second,
Commissioner Dreehouse,
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas,
yes.
Commissioner Parks.
Yes.
Thank you, commissioners. The next item, by leave number 8, is a resolution authorizing the execution of an agreement for CARES Act funding between the Board of Commissioners, Hamilton County, Ohio, and the City of Norwood. As you're aware, $25 million of our CARES Act funding has been allocated according to a local government fund formula to local jurisdictions in Hamilton County. The resolution that the board passed provides for anything above $250,000 would come to the Board of County Commissioners directly for approval. The amount that the City of Norwood is eligible for is up to $399,198. So this will get Norwood in the queue so that we can begin receiving reimbursement requests from Norwood that are eligible under the CARES Act. The administration recommends approval.
Hey, I have a question on this one, or just rather a favor to ask of Holly, I think. We've clicked through a couple of these, and we allocated this 25 million to the communities a while back and have then seen these trickle in as they start to spend those dollars and try to get the reimbursement. Can you, at a future date, help us better understand what those dollars are being used for? Whether it's helping a restaurant with outside patio furniture and heaters or whatever it is. I would be really interested to know what the uses are of these dollars, just anecdotally, so we have a sense of that.
Absolutely, happy to. We could pull what we received today and approve today at a future meeting.
Yeah, that'd be great. It doesn't need to have a lot of elaborate detail or anything. I just want to get a sense of it.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Commissioners, any questions?
No, I'm just happy that we're able to help other jurisdictions. Norwood is the second largest city, and I'm certainly sure that they need that additional monies.
Ditto.
No, very good. All right. I'm going to move that we approve the resolution authorizing the execution of an agreement for CARES Act funding between the Board of County Commissioners and the City of Norwood.
Second,
Commissioner Dreehouse,
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas,
yes.
Commissioner Parks.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners. And since Holly is still on, I hope she didn't go too far. The by-leave number 9 is a resolution amending the Hamilton County CARES Act plan. I think as the board has been apprised, we're going to be, especially in the last 6 weeks of the year here, really sprinting hard and reshuffling dollars as programs begin to wrap up. Other programs show a need for dollars. Some programs are not going to spend everything that they've used, so we're going to be putting those to other line items, putting them into some other programs to ensure that we get the dollars into the hands of needy populations in the county. So this particular resolution approves of a revised CARES Act plan or an amended CARES Act plan. Holly, do you want to walk through any major changes here? I don't know that you need to go through everything because there may be a couple of cases where we moved 100,000 here or 100,000 there, but anything major in terms of reshuffling or additional programs you want to highlight?
Absolutely. As discussed on Tuesday, we talked about a few of those. One was the addition of a school reimbursement program in the amount of $7 million. That is included. We also discussed the increased needs brought to our attention by both Mental Health Services and Recovery Board in the amount of an additional $650,000, as well as senior needs through the Council on Aging in the amount of $1.03 million. All those have been added. And we also have, as Administrator Aludo mentioned, we've adjusted some line items based on program performance and projected balances as we try to close out the year by the 12/30 deadline. But those are the 3 primary changes. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Holly. Any questions?
I have no questions.
No questions. Thank you.
Okay, appreciate it. All right, I'm going to move then that we approve of the resolution amending the Hamilton County CARES Act plan.
Second,
Commissioner Dreehouse,
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas,
yes.
Commissioner Parks.
Yes.
Thank you, commissioners. By leave number 10, Holly just mentioned the school grant program. This is a resolution authorizing the agreement for the CARES Act funding between the Board of County Commissioners and K through 12 schools. So this is really approving the agreement that we will use to fund those schools. The administration recommends approval.
Any questions or comments?
No questions.
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to move that we approve of the resolution authorizing the execution of an agreement for CARES Act funding between the Board of County Commissioners and certain K-12 schools or school districts located within the geographical boundaries of Hamilton County.
Second,
Commissioner Dreehouse,
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas,
yes.
Commissioner Parks.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners. By leave number 11 is a resolution revising the application and agreement terms for the second round of Small Business Relief Program grant awards and authorizing the county administrator to adopt measures to revise the application and grant agreements. Primary change here is an extension of the timing for fund expenditures and closeout reporting. So we're moving the spend deadlines from December 1st to December 20th, and the closeout report deadlines from December 15th to December 30th. Holly, anything else on this that we need to emphasize?
I don't think so. That's only if a business is interested in receiving an extension. We have the last batch of approvals that are going out right now, and understand some of the review may have taken longer for some of these. So want to give businesses the opportunity to have an extension if need be.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, commissioners?
No questions.
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for hanging in there on this one, Holly. I know this has been a slog, and thanks for the small businesses too for also being patient as we work through this one. So I want to move that we approve of the resolution revising the application and agreement terms for the second round of the Small Business Relief Program grant awards and authorizing the county administrator to adopt measures to revise application and grant agreements.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Parks?
Yes.
Thank you, commissioners. And wrapping up, I leave number 12 is another resolution authorizing the execution of an agreement for CARES Act funding between the Board of County Commissioners and a political subdivision in Hamilton County, in this case, Sycamore Township. Sycamore Township is eligible under our funding formula for up to $295,446. The administration recommends approval.
Questions?
No questions.
No questions.
Very good. I'm going to move that we approve of the resolution authorizing the execution of an agreement for CARES Act funding between the Board of Commissioners and Sycamore Township.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Parks?
Yes.
Thank you, commissioners. I believe that would complete the by leaves.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you, Jeff. Thanks for
Thanks, Jeff.
getting this money out the door. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right, let's go to the regular agenda. We've got 3 items here for the engineer. Eric Beck is on the line. Hello, Eric.
Good afternoon. These are pretty straightforward. These are just the awards for projects that have previously been approved. The first 2 are landslides, one on Witt Road and Asbury Road. Both those 2 have FEMA funding. The third is for the thermoplastic and epoxy pavement striping, which is road and bridge funds.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions related to these items?
No questions.
No questions. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Eric. I'm going to move that we approve of regular agenda items 1 through 3.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Parks?
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks, Eric. All right, we've got a couple items here related to MSD, items 4 and 5. Jack Rennekamp is on the line. Hello, Jack.
Good afternoon, commissioners. I hope everyone is doing well. And we want to thank you in advance for taking these 2 items under your consideration. Before I begin, I just wanted to announce a special day that the UN has announced for today, an observation of World Toilet Day. And this is in anticipation of celebrating not only toilets in the world, but also recognizing that approximately 4.2 billion, that's billion with a B, people are without good, effectively managed sanitary systems. So the UN has designated November 19th as World Toilet Day.
We feel blessed to have you on, Jack.
Yes.
And have you have toilets in Hamilton County.
Thank you so much for bringing that
Thank
to
you.
our attention.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
So the 2 items today, item number 4, I'll deal with first, and just a brief overview of both. Item 4 is for sanitary sewer 6587 for Spring Grove Avenue sewer replacement and rehab. The request is for $302,600 for the rebidding and eventual construction of this asset management project. The project is located in the city of Cincinnati's Camp Washington neighborhood, and the total estimated cost is $920,000. In February of this year, the board had appropriated funds for the construction of this project. However, in April of this year, the city had received a single bid, and that single bid was 71% over the approved engineer's estimate of cost that the board had authorized in February. So we could not award the contract, given the fact that no contract can be awarded over a 10% statutory threshold. This project will replace approximately 700 linear feet of a deteriorated existing sewer and allowing that asset to flow at full capacity, and also provides for normal maintenance practices in the future, which are hampered at the present with its current condition. The project had increased in cost based upon a couple of items that our engineering folks who are with me today, Deputy Director Ryan Welsh and Principal Engineer Matt Spadari, have reviewed and seen, and that there was an increased need and cost for manholes, asphalt, concrete course, and 24-inch conduit, that the pricing of which had changed due to market conditions, and also increased escalation cost for what is the one contractor who had submitted a bid indicated for overhead and profit. Item number 5 is a piece of happy news for the board. This project will address the Fitzpatrick sewer, both cleaning and rehabilitation. As you know, in 2017, the board indicated that the Fitzpatrick sewer was of their concern due to odors and due to problems with the operation of the sewer. Currently, the sewer has large deposits of struvite, which is a mineralized deposit that is the result of sludge dewatering fluids from the Mill Creek wastewater treatment plant old digestion processes, which are no longer in use. And this has caused not only blockages within the sewer, but also has created the need for relining the sewer for its optimal use and reliability. So the request is to fund approximately $1.2 million. And the sewer is located in the city's Lower Price Hill neighborhood. And the total project cost is $1.3 million. The bit of good news that I mentioned at the beginning of my presentation is that this project, as it's currently going to be deployed and constructed, sees a cost savings of $1.1 million from the original estimates when the project was first designed. I'm happy to entertain any questions. As I indicated, Ryan and Matt are with me to answer any technical matters.
Thank you, as is Karen Ball on the county side. Hey, Jack, so you referenced this as part of the zero odor tolerance policy that we had set back a number of years ago. So is this the last of the projects related to that?
I'll defer to Ryan if he can address that. I don't believe it is. There are some plant projects that will address that as well.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be the last. Odor control is something that's really continuous improvement. And, you know, when you consider what we do, treating all the wastewater by nature, there are odors. And, you know, as time goes on, the tolerance for the community for odors has become less and less. So we've got odor control projects planned, additional projects at the Mill Creek treatment plant and at other treatment plants. And we could actually present on that topic what the long-term plan is, but no, it's not the last one. And I think it was actually a zero tolerance goal, and that's the way we have to treat it, because we'll never technically have no odors, but what our goal is, and the goal that we think we can meet and what we monitor, is we don't want any odors that cross over the fence line of the treatment plant and become a nuisance to our neighbors.
Yeah, I would really like to see that. By the way, the projects that are moving forward related to odor control, not only at this facility, but others. But wasn't there, my recollection is, and this was pretty early in my tenure, that we had a number of projects, I think there were like 3 or 4 big ones that talked about reducing odor in a significant way for the Lower Price Hill community and really the East Price Hill community. And I was just wondering, I know it's an ongoing process, but I was wondering if this is the last of that suite of projects.
That's correct. This is Karen. There were several. 2 of them are under construction. One's been completed. One is nearly complete. The digester covers at Mill Creek is a large that will be, it's in the 2021 CIP for construction next year. So of those major projects, that covers most of them at Mill
Yeah.
Creek.
Okay. Karen, did you have a comment?
Yes, there was a CAP meeting last evening. Updates were given to the members, the Citizen Advisory Panel. There are 3 projects, I believe, carrying over from 2020 into 2021 CIP. The quad scrubber being one of them. Ryan just spoke of the digester covers. They've been in the budget. It's the construction, just the design and construction hasn't reached the point where we can come to you for the final authorization on construction.
Okay, but they're all moving.
Yes, they are.
Okay.
And yep.
All right, thank you. And Karen, thank you for sending a memo regarding these 2 items. I know that the county team is in agreement that these 2 items need to move forward as well.
That's correct.
Thank you for that. Commissioners, any questions or comments?
Thank you, Madam President. Jack, I appreciate, first you talked about the toilet and then you bring us good news. So it's always good news that we can have savings on our MSD project. So I certainly thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Hey, Jack. Yeah, we needed some good news. Thanks. So coming from a point of view of somebody that, you know, I get on the job training as far as the sewer is concerned, you talked about something called struvite that seems to me is just wrecking everything. Is it eating through the pipes? Where does that come from? Is it new? Is it something in every pipe? And how do you stop that?
And I think I'll defer to Matt and or Ryan because it's an engineering issue that they're better addressed to, as well as a chemical issue.
Yeah, it's very technical. Struvite is a chemical that forms basically from the ammonium and the phosphate in our wastewater stream. And it was more prevalent back in the 80s and 90s, I would say up until the 90s when we had digestion. As we moved on to incineration and went away from the digestion process in the 2000s, then the struvite problem went away. So what we're seeing is this buildup of a hard chemical compound, almost like stalagmites in the bottom of the pipe. So that's what struvite is. And
wait a minute, you said, what was that word you just said?
It's a struvite.
No, okay. So it's struvite.
Yeah, STRUVITE.
Okay. Okay, so it's an old.
Yeah, this is something that took a lot of years to build up, and actually our process changed, back in around over 10 years ago, and we aren't creating near as much struvite. We shouldn't see this in the future.
Okay, yeah, that just a red flag came up, and I just want to know if struvite, was
I never heard of struvite before I came to work for MSD.
Okay. All right. Okay.
You're not alone, Commissioner.
Thank you.
All right. All right. So I'm going to move that we approve of the MSD items, regular agenda items 4 and 5.
Second.
Unmuted, I'm sorry. Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Parks?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you all for being on.
Thank you.
Happy toilet day.
Thanks.
And I hope it doesn't have struvite in it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is obviously a serious concern for those communities that don't have it, but yeah, we are lucky. All right, let's move on to the consent agenda. We have items 6 through 16. Commissioners, any questions or comments related to these items?
Madam President, I would just like to draw our attention to items 11 through 15. And it just shows Tim McCarthy, who's our interim director at JFS, the multifaceted approach to provide services to young people, every area of services that may be needed. And so I certainly appreciate that the commissioners are able to approve the ability to do that. So that's the only comment I had.
Okay, Commissioner Parks?
No comments. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to move that we approve of consent agenda items 6 through 16.
Second,
Commissioner Dreehouse,
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas,
yes.
Commissioner Parks.
Yes.
All right, very good. Well, thank you, ladies. We have nothing further. We don't even have an executive session today, which is fantastic. Just a reminder that next week we will have a staff meeting on Tuesday, but we will not have our regularly scheduled meeting on Thursday because it's Thanksgiving. So just a reminder to all of us and to the viewing public. And with that, if there's nothing further, I'm going to move that we adjourn.
Second,
Commissioner Dreehouse,
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas,
yes.
Commissioner Parks.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Take care.
Mhm.